So glad we get to be here today. I'm going to invite you to come on down to your back body. Have a block or a soft version of that you'll be able to tuck under the pelvic triangle. So as you're ready, you'll raise the hips and then you'll place the block right at about the bony triangle at the top of the crack of the butt, not in the lower back. And so my hope is that when you give your weight to that block, that you feel a kind of elongation of the low back. Let it kind of get traction with gravity. And if you did some weeding and stuff this weekend, like I know a lot of people did, this should feel really, really good right now. Let's come into a few sighing breaths. Inhaling slow, deep and wide, as if it's all you'd ever do. Noticing each inhale rising with a curiosity, almost not knowing when, where will it end, and then it does. With each exhale, a sense of giving yourself to gravity more fully. This is your yoga. There's nothing to know, do, or accomplish. You did it by getting to the mat. Really, our biggest thing we can do is come in with curiosity, because then we will be in listening mode. We'll be awake to whatever the body might need. We'll notice if it's saying, ooh, that's too much, and we'll back off. So of course, in our practice today, follow your body's guidance, and you can always hook back up with us when you're ready to join the flow. When this feels complete, inviting you to come off of the block, you might bend the knees again if you have straightened them. We're going to come into release wind pose. So as you're ready, you'll straighten your left leg along the floor and bring the right knee into the belly, using the hands firmly on the kind of shin bone below the knee. No wings, no shrugs. So shoulder blades anchor down, elbows in, and you might roll the head side to side, inviting a softening in the neck as you work a vigorous, deep belly breath. You might add that soft ujjayi throat breath, great sounding breath. And then we're going to root through the low back. Make sure it stays connected. As you inhale, straighten your right leg to the sky, relaxing the arms to the floor. You can point and flex and roll the ankles. On the exhale, rooting the low back, slowly descend that right leg as if you're trying to kind of paint a stripe on the wall in front of you. Soft in the neck, core connected, and at the end, melting. Guiding the left knee into the belly, release wind pose. Again, hands drawing the knee firmly towards the belly and chest. The right heel extending away, the right thigh bone anchoring down. Breathing slow, deep and wide, rolling the neck to side to side. So we don't really think about this, but all the muscles that connect the hip girdle go also up into the neck and shoulder girdle. Well, not all of them, but many. There are some deep connectors, let's put it that way. On your next inhale, extending the left leg to the sky. Oh, hello, tight hamstrings. Exhaling, root the belly and back and slowly descend. Again, if that back can't stay rooted, then it's a message that you need to bend the knee so you're counterbalancing less weight. And upon reaching the floor, practicing a deep melting. I often end up sighing in various junctures throughout the practice. Always follow that instinct. I'm going to bring the right knee into the belly again. And this time I'm going to invite you to see if you can use your left hand to grab your right foot and kind of bring it across towards the left hip bone. So it's another version of reclined pigeon. If this is just not working, you're like, I can't even get a hold of that foot, then instead bend your left knee, foot flat on the floor, and cross your right ankle and do that usual thing. Or if you just like it better, right, that's the other option. One thing I have fun with this option is you can kind of take your knee and really your whole lower leg right and left. So I'm kind of swinging it using my hands, taking my right leg right and left. I'm getting a nice massage into that right hip joint. Again, I don't know if you guys did any garden clearing this weekend like we did, but whew, I'm still feeling it. All right, inhaling, take that leg straight to the sky again. Exhaling, root and descend. Core anchored, neck soft, practicing powerful at our center and peaceful in the neck and face. All right, we'll bring the left knee into the belly. Or again, if you're doing the other pigeon alternate, feel free. Otherwise, right here, knee to belly, and then take your right hand to left foot and kind of cross it towards that right hip joint. We don't care how far you get, right? We just care how it feels. And then as you're ready, you're kind of pumping it side to side. Remember to keep the floor leg active. Let me see that heel flex. Yeah, toes drawing back towards the kneecap. Love it. And then again, inhale, release straight to the sky. And exhale, slowly root and descend. And melting. We'll come into abdominal pumping, inhaling. Just imagining you don't know if you're ever going to do anything else. Is there more? Exhale, empty, and hold out for abdominal pumping. So there's no breath inside as we draw the belly in towards the spine and press it out towards the sky. And sometimes this can get quite a stretch going up into your sternum and clavicle. That's great. But if it makes you cough, don't get surprised. Let's do another round. Emptying the breath completely so it's not adding the organs. And then we're doing this beautiful pumping really of the digestive and other organs. And we're going to come into knees to belly to enter spinal twist. So I'm just going to rock a little here with knees to belly before taking my knees all the way to the right. If you prefer a single knee down twist, you would just extend your right leg and bring only your left knee across. Otherwise, both knees to the right, keeping the thighs connected, heels flexed, and then you might be able to use your right hand to kind of anchor the legs. Inhaling, opening through that top arm. And this is your chance to be so curious. What's in there? What's needed? Do you want to come in and out of the twist? That can feel marvelous. Do you want to kind of hang out in the twist, working that back arm up by the ear and then down by the hip and maybe across the body. Hope you're getting some nice spots behind the shoulder blade here. One more big breath, letting it lift and settle the body like you're on a wave. Good. And then I'm going to come to the other side by letting my top knee lead, and then the other knee follows. We call it open book, closed book. And again, maybe using your floor hand to anchor the knees down. For that to work well, the knees have to be higher than the hips or as high as the hips. I don't know if anyone else has the interesting relationship with spring of both loving the beauty, but not so much the allergies. But if I sound a little funny, that's what's going on.
The trees are having sex.
Yeah, there's a glorious, glorious cherry blossom tree just on the street behind us that you might want to go see on your way. Is this side different? What's in your shoulder? What's in your waistline? Sometimes we don't realize how tight we are until we try to come into spinal twist. All right. As you're ready, come back to center. We're going to come up to bridge for our foot hover. As those of you who are used to me know, I really recommend foot hover before adding leg extension, or maybe not even adding leg extension, because it often creates more neck tension for folks. Once the hips are raised, work those shoulder heads a little in underneath for neck protection. You can also lift the chin a little up and back. I've got my hands on my hips as sort of a measuring guide. Breath slow, deep, and wide as I slowly lift one foot a little off the floor and then the other. Now, if your back is pretty tight or maybe even painful, number one, bring your feet closer together. Number two, if you go to lift the foot and it's too much, then keep your feet planted, but just shift the weight from foot to foot, right? So you're just asking one foot to more heavily bear the weight. And really what that's doing, it's not about the feet, but you're waking up the whole back line, the hamstrings and glutes. And those are a huge part of what holds your lower spine, gives you stability and health when you're out there, pulling weeds and carrying compost. Yeah, looking good. I'm loving the slow movements. And when you come down, once again, knees to belly. Then I'm going to have you with your hands on your kneecaps. Just take the knees wide apart. So you're making a little V. You got it. Then I'm going to bring my hands around behind my knees, so right at the back of my thigh. And I'm going to begin my half straddle. So I'm going to straighten one leg out into the waiting hand, heel flexed. And then I'm going to bend it again, and I'm going to straighten the other leg. And we're going to go back and forth, curious, hopefully loving the massage of this. I sure do. And if you play with kind of pointing, flexing, rolling the ankle, or rebending the knee just slightly, and then really getting it straight, hiya, you're giving some very important mobility and massage to the knee joints and all those connecting tissues in the IT bands and so on that can be so tight. And I love this movement because we're not weight bearing, and so the body feels safer, I think, to explore. All right, and then bringing the feet together, heels together at the butt for butterfly. I'm holding the kind of blades of my feet with my hands. And your choice to just hang out and breathe here. You could also add a little sit up, and some of us like adding a little windshield wiper. You want your elbows on the insides of the knees so that you can bring one foot towards the face and then the other. It's as if you were going to kiss your foot, but maybe you're just blowing it a kiss. Yeah. And then planting the feet wide for your horse riding stance. Powerful upper arms, anchoring, send those hips up. And I'm going to hang out here at that top end of the pose and just kind of pulse, dropping my hips a couple inches, and then raising it. Hope this feels just awesome to you today. Yeah. These powerful bodies have lots that we ask them to do, and so we're giving them this, saying it's our way of saying thanks for being awesome. Coming on down, and then we're going to let the right knee settle in towards the center line of the mat. So the feet are wide, either at the edges of the mat or even wider if you like. And you might add a reach of the right arm up behind. And maybe you want to kind of press your right knee a little closer to the floor if you want to deepen the stretch. Slowly switching. I always bring the arm, returning it to the body before switching the knees. I think it's healthier, safer for the low back and hips. Left knee settling towards the floor, towards the inside line. Left arm reaching up and back. Oh, you make it delicious. You might imagine you're kind of stretching and yawning for the first time today. Whew. I swear, if I try to fake a yawn, it always turns into a real one. It's kind of fabulous. And coming back to center, let's walk those feet in towards the center line. Soles of the feet coming together as the knees settle for a relaxed butterfly. Arms relaxing into a jet airplane position. For some of this is just a lovely little stretch. Others, it's more dramatic. And to turn it into a strengthening posture with me and raising the hips. Just a little bit, by the way. I mean, if you love taking them all the way up really high, by all means, but I feel like I get really good work with the hips just a couple inches max off the floor. And I'm able to breathe and settle into kind of the meditative quality of it while getting the strengthening. So noticing where you're experiencing breath, I hope you can invite it into the front, sides, and back of your breath space. You guys look good. I'm hearing a little bit of Ujjayi. That's nice. Yeah, remember those 3 points of introversion. I didn't name them today, but it's that Ujjayi, throat breath if you like, light connection, tip of the tongue, roof of the mouth, and soft inward gaze to that third eye, center of the forehead. All right, about 10 more seconds here. For most of us, that's probably a breath. And then settling the hips towards the floor. Lovely. We're going to bring knees to belly one more time to prepare for our mini robot. We haven't done that for the last couple classes, so I figured it's time to bring it on back. We've got our knees bent, and we're going to bring the knees apart so they're parallel. I'm going to flex the feet firmly and have the feet kind of straight out from the knees. And then I want to anchor the back before I change my knee position. So I'm going to push down into the floor so hard that I feel my pelvis kind of curl up a little. Then with that, I'm going to send the knees away from me until they're right above the hip joints. And one way to know is if you go too far, your back is going to arch. You're not going to be able to help it. And if you don't go far enough, this just doesn't feel like hard work at all, okay? So it should be a bit of an effort to hang out here, breathing with your legs in this double 90 position, as we call it, 90-degree bend at the hip joints and knee joints. And if you'd like, you might place the hands on the thighs right at the knee to remind the stationary knee not to move towards you, because that's compensating. So frankly, this is enough work. You might already be like, whew, I need a break. Go for it. And then return to the starting position. This is starting position. Big inhale. Exhale, root your back. Take one knee anywhere from 3 to 6 inches away from the hand. Hold. Take another long inhale here. Exhale. Return it to that starting position. If you need to take a break for your inhale, go for it. Otherwise, inhaling here in neutral. Remember, neutral is work, so breathing into it is its own challenge. Exhale, take the other knee 3 to 6 inches away from you. Remember, you've got that other hand to stop the stationary knee, and then come on back. So after that, I'm ready for a break. That's how hard and good the work is when you found the right amount. So I hope you're finding that. We're going to do another round. And of course, as we do, you've got the option of taking that knee farther away. That's going to make it harder in general, but also you could add arms. I call this discombobulated robot because it's a lot to keep track of all your limbs. So if you give up your alignments because you're too distracted, I would go back to our regular starting position. Otherwise, right here, inhaling, arms straight up to the sky. Exhaling, root. Take one knee on its journey. The opposite arm reaching for the wall behind, karate chop straight. Big inhale, what I call breathing in flight. Exhale, make sure you're rooted. Come back to that starting position. Ufta. Other side. Inhale, neutral. Neck is soft, shoulder head's anchored. Exhale, other knee on its journey. Opposite arm reaching behind. Karate chop straight. We're not trying to reach the floor. We're trying to reach the wall. Big inhale. Exhale, come on back. That was about enough for me. I don't know about you. Come on up to your cross-legged position to roll forward. We're going to come into our forearm plank and use that puppy. Did everybody find a good version? Yes, felt good work? It doesn't take much, right? 2 rounds that had me. All right, coming on to forearms. Find your beautiful kind of cat back experience before you step your legs back into your forearm plank. And of course, if you don't like getting there this way, find your own entry point, maybe from laying on your belly. One leg steps back firmly, then the other, heels flexed, thighs squeezing towards each other. And think about lengthening the spine from heel to crown until you're kind of a little more neutral. You know, we might have started in like a hyper tuck. Find a sense of both front and back body working equally. See if you've got one more big, greedy inhale, and then exhale, slowly release to your belly. Maybe turn the head to the side. Sometimes people like to rock the hips here, side to side. Some might windshield wiper the legs, the lower legs side to side. And from here, I'm going to bring us into quadricep stretch. If you don't do it on the belly, you do it standing, then you'll have to join us there. Otherwise, please keep one forearm in front. In fact, this is how we're going to start our pose. One forearm across the front, anchor the pelvis, then kind of use your forearm to raise your chest to reach back for that ankle with more grace, less flailing. Good. Then bringing that knee back in towards the center line if you've swung it out, and resettling your forehead towards your forearm. Breathing and noticing. So first notice, where is your left shoulder if that's the arm you reached with, or your right shoulder? Guess I didn't specify. The arm you reached with, where's that shoulder? See if you can let it wing back in towards the spine. Get that extra bit of massage. Yeah. If you're not getting enough stretch through your quadricep, try raising your knee a little off the floor. And always, always deepen breath. Okay, breath is our change agent. Hello, front body. Poof, done. Keep those glutes squeezed down. In fact, think in particular about tucking your tailbone and your pubic bone towards the floor. One more big breath. And keep those glutes squeezed as you slowly release that ankle, slowly switch forearms, slowly reach for the other ankle. Remember, you've got that forearm at the front to bring you a beautiful cobra back. You've got it. Then return the forehead to the forearm. Good. Make sure your bent knee is in towards the straight leg, that your reaching shoulder is winging in towards the spine. And if you're limber enough that you're just not getting a satisfying stretch, you could think about raising the knee a little off the floor. Big belly breaths. Couple more. Is this side different? And release. Good. And again, it might feel good to kind of windshield wiper those legs side to side. I'm going to offer bow pose this morning. And I know bow doesn't work for everybody all the time. If it bothers your low back or shoulders or whatever, don't do it. You could do just what we did again, each side once. Otherwise, you're going to get in there the same way. One forearm supporting, pelvis anchoring as you reach back with control with that first arm. Then bending the second leg. And then in your cobra back, it should be fairly easy to get a hold of that second ankle if you're going to be able to do it at all. Bring those knees back in towards each other. Let the shoulder blades be drawn towards each other. Neck neutral. There's a tendency for people to raise the head here. Don't do that. Keep that neck long. And if appropriate, if your knees don't mind, press those ankles back into the hands. Big inhale. I like softening a little on the exhale, kind of coming out a little, and then inhaling, reinvigorating. When you come out, keep the pelvis anchored. Let go of the ankles. Plant the hands. Press with the hands until the arms are straight, and then press back to your child's pose, taking those knees wide. I'm hoping this feels so good. Have your arms straight ahead if you can. Please invite breath to become a wave here that just moves up and down the spine. Especially in resting postures like this, there's a tendency to just get kind of passive with the breath. And instead, we're missing out on the massage that we get when the breath moves through the container of this shape. Let's change the shape of our container, taking your hands a little to the right, keeping them as extended as you can, so that along that left side, for example, I'm getting a wonderful stretch from my left hip through the left armpit. You can roll a little side to side. Remember, there's nothing frozen about any of this. Then lifting a little through chest and belly to walk the hands to the other side. Is this side different? I can tell I was using a Whoppers this weekend. So fun, isn't it? You can be like, oh, that's my whatever muscles. And slowly back to center. Big inhale. Exhale, tuck the tailbone coming up into your cat back. Bring those knees back under your hips. And we'll do a little cow-cat action. So I was explaining to folks before we got on the Zoom train that we're doing kind of 3 segments of class today. This is segment 1. That's our just love up of the body, getting it strong and fluid, I hope. Segment 2, which we'll be getting into shortly, is pranayam practice, where I'm hoping we'll get really connected to yogic breath, and then we're going to take it into some flow. When you're ready, let's move into our first downward facing dog of the day. Intelligent hands, hips rise up and back, knees bent. I hope you can liberate the shoulder girdle. And by that, I mean that I'm not kind of shoulders just sort of sitting there in space above the hands or halfway between. I want the hips to go so high up and back, and the shoulders end up halfway between hands and hips, feeling very settled and extended. Then pedaling one heel towards the floor, other. Ooh, hello, back legs. Good, and then let's come high up on the balls of the feet. Big inhale, exhale, work both heels towards the floor. We don't care if we ever get there. Deep breath there. Good. We're going to be coming into a seated pranayam, so you can just kind of come on down. It is, and you could do this laying down, by the way, too. So if being seated causes stress to your hips or knees or anything, you could be laying down. We're doing box breath, so again, any position will work. Otherwise, I find, having a few inches of something under my butt just creates a better state of ease in the hips. Another little trick for those of you that are trying to get into your meditation practice, did you want this one too?
No.
Okay. Is that you can take, this is a little too tall for my example, given what I'm sitting on, but you can take a rolled up blanket or a block or something and tuck it under each leg. So if you're somebody who, you're flexible enough that you can sit here without a problem, but when your knees kind of go down, you end up with like a little impingement or pressure right here, then that little bit of support is your friend, all right? In all meditative practices, we want to create enough support for the body that it's not constantly chattering at us, right? And that it doesn't do any harm. So I'm going to pick a little track of music here that I love because it's all just sort of nature sounds kind of stuff. No rhythm to it on purpose. I know I have one musician in the crowd who likes to do their box breath by counting. And I took an interview in my class last night. A certain number of people like doing the counting. So it's usually taught saying that you'll inhale to the count of 4. You'll hold in to the count of 4. You'll exhale to the count of 4. And you'll hold out, what we call breath lock, right? You're just holding out to the count of 4. But of course, 4 is arbitrary, right? It could be the count of 3 because it's going to be whatever length you need for it to feel natural. We don't want to feel breath hungry, where we're like waiting for that next segment, but we also don't want to feel rushed. So it might take you a few rounds to find what that natural length is for you. Don't worry, we've got time. We're going to be here. I'm not going to tell you how long. We're going to be here for a little while. The other ways of doing it, my favorite way actually is mantra. And so I have a lot of mantras that have 3 parts. So plenty of time, plenty of help, plenty of money. It's a favorite one. Pause. This moment, this body, this breath, pause, and then that next, right? It could be whatever you'd like it to be. Some people do the visualization of creating a box, of drawing a box with their mind's eye with those 4 segments. It's really up to you, and you can play around with it. If it's inevitable that people will wander, their mind will wander, I'm going to occasionally throughout our number of minutes practice chime the bowl as just a reminder of like return to your box breath if you lost it. Okay, always change your position if you need to. Any questions before we start? Yes, good. Find a nice root and rise through the spine if you're seated, letting your chin sort of tuck back a little towards the base of the skull. If you take your head side to side, it should feel very weeble wobble, nothing engaged. And as you're ready, tip of the tongue, roof of the mouth, deep inward gaze. Ujjayi if you'd like, up to you. And begin. Inhaling. And then holding in. And then exhaling. And holding out. And your rhythm might be faster or slower than that. Hopefully a little slower. Staying as breath focused and introverted as you can, I invite you to first of all, notice what that was like for you. I invite you to come slowly off of your cushion or support. We're going to roll forward onto our hands and knees to once more move up into downward facing dog. But a great alternate would be table pose. So, excuse me, if you're experiencing any wrist or shoulder or neck distress, and downward facing dog, table is your friend. Right here, coming into your downward facing dog, I invite you to move into, it's similar to box breath, but it's just inhale and exhale, but with a brief lock instead of the long lock, okay? So as you're ready, take that right leg flying, and you're inhaling, brief lock, exhaling, brief lock. I'm gonna slowly switch legs, and you don't have to time the breath with the movement I'm giving you. Just keep it going. Slowly take that left leg flying. And slowly return the legs. We're moving into our first dog series. Remember, you can do any portion of it that works great for you. You could also always do knees down. I'm going to do knees down for my first one here. Inhale and plank. Find that long inhale, brief lock. Exhale slowly. Find your brief lock. Let the inhale blossom you into your cobra. Brief lock. And exhaling, press back to your downward facing dog. We're going to do that again in a moment. I'm going to invite you briefly to add leg flying with me if you want to. Right leg flying. Open up that hip, bending the knee, giving yourself a nice big stretch. Send your shoulders still towards that left leg. Good. Exhaling, bring that right foot down. Work the heels towards the floor. Let that inhale when it comes, move you into your plank, knees or feet. Remember to find that brief lock, and hopefully breath that's about equal, right? Inhale, exhale, equal parts like you've been doing. Slow, low chaturanga or push-up. Inhale brings you into your cobra. You're still finding those brief locks, I hope. Exhaling, press back, either child's pose or downward facing dog. Sometimes it's nice to move to a child's pose between, give those wrists a little love, eh? So I'm not sure if you were counting or using mantra or how you were doing your box breath, but you could continue that tool to keep the attention on breath link. As you're ready, on an exhale, tuck that tailbone and move into your downward facing dog. Neck is loose, head hanging. Let's send the left leg flying. Bending the knee, opening the hip. Remember to keep working your right heel towards the floor, chest towards that right knee. And then neutral it for support as you inhale to your plank. Is there more? Excuse me. Exhale, chaturanga, slow, low push-up. Let the inhale blossom you to cobra, or perhaps upward facing dog on the feet. And again, exhaling your choice, downward facing dog or child's pose. We're going to be coming to the belly for our jet airplane exploration. And if you want to do another plank, etc., you're like, yeah, I'm taking this. Great. Chaturanga. And we'll meet you on the belly. So this is a really sweet space, I think, to work with the kind of breath attention you've been building. I hope you really find kind of a different experience of jet airplane than you usually do. Forehead touching, fingertips or palms connected. I usually do fingertips. Shoulder heads anchor down and back, pelvis anchors, all the things. And then as you're ready, inhale, take flight. Brief lock. And exhale, slow descent. Brief lock. Again, your version. Find your length, whether you're counting, mantra, or picturing a sort of different version of a box with a brief breath lock. And then at some point, you might choose to hold in your extension and sweep one arm forward and one arm back. You can be playing with this. It can be kind of fun to do like an inhale, sweep, brief lock, exhale, switch, sweep, brief lock. And I'm going to offer one little add-on before you come out of this into your child's pose. Invitation to bring the hands behind the back in Yoga Mudra. Now, as you guys know, this can also be done standing, etc. But I do enjoy the version here, and you can let it, the action of pressing the fist towards your heels, you can let it bring your chest up off the floor a little bit. And release. Maybe you're settling onto your belly to relax or pressing back child's pose. From here, we're going to be coming into a little flow, a little lungy warrior flow experience. And in it, we're doing a twist in lunge. And I find it very helpful to have a little something to put my hand on. So a block, whether it's a cushiony block or foam one, it doesn't really matter. So I just kind of put it at the front of the mat so that I can kind of adjust it to whichever side I want when I'm ready. So it's just kind of there for you. So your choice of coming into our warrior lunge flow from downward dog or from standing. I know a lot of us have probably already had enough excitement on the wrist, so I'm going to be teaching it from standing, but if you want to join us from behind, you can. So we're finding our mountain, our first standing posture of the class. Here we are, right? 45 minutes in. Isn't it amazing what you can do just flopping around on the mat? Feet are straight forward, big toes anchoring, other toes spreading. Let's find standing jet airplane here. Shoulders are sliding down the back, chin drawing back towards the base of the skull a little bit. So there's no reaching, striving through the neck. And please continuing as much as you can with the kind of breath attention you've been using. Inhaling, sweeping out and up. Breathing into your balancing pose. Lunge. This is your timing, a little challenge, I know, because I'm leading it. You kind of know where we're going. Inhaling your version, whether it's emoji, hug emoji, or arms up. You can even have them down, especially if your neck has been tight today. Okay, we're going to come into a little jet airplane movement here. So on your exhale, bring those arms into jet airplane, and you're going to hinge forward. You don't have to go far, right? It might be just like so. Maybe you go quite a bit lower, and you're reaching from heel to crown. Make sure you're not just sitting on the thigh. And everybody, no matter where you are, lower that left hand to the block or the floor. And I like walking my right foot further out to the side of the mat. So I'm just not on such a balance beat. You got it. Ideally, folks, you really want a deep bend in that front knee. If your feet are too close together, this is not going to be fun. If you can work that back leg back until your right front knee is at a 90-degree bend, this is more fun. As you're ready, inhale, rotate to the right, push the ceiling away, hand flexed. Beautiful. Exhaling, release it to your thigh. Coming back to your neutral. We're going to do that twice more. Inhale, rotate open. See how much core lift you can get. Maybe you don't even need your left hand under that block, really. Exhale, return. Soft neck, one more. And return. This time, I'm going to slide the block close into my foot, and I'm going to plant my right hand. I'm going to plant my back foot in like a warrior foot, 90 degrees. You've got it. Swing that right hip in towards the center line of the mat. If you simply can't, bring your elbow up to your thigh like we normally do our lateral stretch. Right? So I'm giving you an alternate entry point, but you don't have to stay where we are. As you're ready, open that top arm. I like looking down, my neck prefers it, see what you think. See if you can get that top shoulder even further back, stacked over the front shoulder, lower shoulder. Then bring that arm out beyond the head, towards the wall in front of your head. Hello, side body. Beautiful. Breath attention. When you're ready, exhaling, release, plant the hands, step back, downward facing dog. And you've got options here. One is just holding downward facing dog, dumping any tension out the top of the head. You also could move into a dog series if you're wanting more of that. And you could join me in making our way to mountain for the next side, or maybe you're going from downward dog. I gave you that option before. For me, I'm gonna walk my hands back to my feet because I love that shoulder stretch and hamstring stretch that gives. Ragdoll, back of the mat. Inhale and root and rise up. Nice glute squeeze here at the top. And prayer hands. And actually, since nobody in here is coming from dog, I'm going to take liberties and we're going to go into some straddle work in between our other warrior side. We'll get to it, I promise. Feet are flat, take them wide, go big, as my friend Sarah Norton says. I love that, go big. So that when you go side to side, your knee is not trying to come past your ankle at all. If you're losing contact on the inside of the foot, if you can look at it and it's kind of peeling and your weight is pushing to the outside, that's a great indicator that you need to go wider. And maybe you can bring your hands all the way to the floor. If not, you can also use the block. And sometimes that gives us some beautiful encouragement to get a little deeper in the pose, to let the head hang. Remember that robot belly, that core support you built up, use it now. And hold to one side, tuning deeply into breath if you weren't already. And other side. Feel like breath attention is a tour guide into our own body, an envoy. Just we immediately become more present with it. Great, and then we're going to be returning to the front of the mat. I'm going to just carry my block with me and step into my ragdoll front of the mat. Make sure those feet are parallel, straight forward, and then inhaling, root and rise. Is there more? Exhaling, prayer hands, right knee lifts, standing crane. Yep, we're going right into it. Long, slow inhale here. And if you're loving those little breath blocks, keep them going. If not, you can let it go. Exhaling, we'll step back with that right foot into our crescent lunge, coming into whatever arm position you're playing with. A couple breaths. Remember that back knee might be straight, it also might be bent. You can also play with dipping, whatever feels yummy. Then we're going to move into a straight leg, jet airplane arms to hinge at the hip. Remember, I'm not folding. I want an absolutely flat back, long line from heel to crown. Keep that left hip drawing back and in. That's really important for those hamstrings. Yeah, you guys look good. Then we're going to take that block and place it for our right hand, make little adjustments, get low. By the way, if this bothers your wrist, you could do fists in this one. This is a nice position to do fists, especially if you're on a soft block. Less stress on the wrist. Anchor your right shoulder head down your back before you then inhale. Rotate open through that left arm. Push the sky away. Good. Exhale, come on back. I just sort of settle my elbow on my thigh, whatever you want. Again. Looking good, you guys. One more. Is there more? And then returning, plant that block a little closer to the inside of the foot, flatten that back foot out. Swing that left hip in towards that center line of the mat. This should hopefully help us unfurl into a nice kind of flat alignment, like we could fit between two panes of glass. And then reaching that arm out beyond the head. Remember, if this is just not working, right? You're got your butt out behind, you can't get it in, bring that elbow to the thigh, and you should be able to get the hips centered. And your choice on your exhale, moving out to downward facing dog for a last dog series, if that's your desire. Otherwise, just rotate the feet to come into straddle for one last exploration side to side. And this is what's needed. I love it when I look around and I see a room of people all doing different things. Yeah, you're doing your yoga and you're going, what do I need? Maybe I need a sip of water right now. Either way, inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And that is complete, asking you to come one more time onto your back body. So however you want to get there. If there's something else you're hungering for, go. We're going to actually be finishing with bridge as our closing posture. You may or may not add the yoga mudra, right? The intertwining like so. If it hurts, obviously don't do it. But one of the gifts of it is, if you can give it the effort, and you might have to add a sock or something, and you could do this standing instead, but is if you get your arms straight, that click-in that happens, it really activates the tricep and it helps stretch us through this bicep tendon area and bicep where most of us are way too tight. That's why a lot of people, you know, if you look at them, they kind of walk with bent arms or what have you. So we tend to be pretty tight through here and weak through here. If your bridge is better when you add a block between the thighs, please do that. It can add just a little bit of attention. For me, all I have to do is imagine the block. So however you want to do it, come on down to your back, place your feet in that sort of 4, 5, 6 inch wide dimension, whatever feels comfortable. Try to have them kind of under the knees with a block or imagining a block between the thighs. Raise the hips, slow, deep and wide breath, right? Breath is the thing. Yeah, it's nice. I just saw your triceps fire up. Yes. So once you're up in your bridge, you add those intertwining of the fingers. And what you're doing is imagining that you're pressing your knuckles towards the heels and that you're pressing your pinkies towards the floor. Keep thinking about squeezing the thighs towards each other or squishing down into the floor. Do you feel that subtle difference? Teeny difference. Good. Think about raising the heart up and back. Nice. And when you're complete, slow, coming down, moving into knees to belly perhaps as a nice counter shape. And asking you to note from here what your body's hungry for. Sometimes I'm like, I need another spinal twist. Sometimes I'm like, I need another pigeon or pigeon alternate. I know some of you do practice classic pigeon, you could go there. Maybe you're looking for one last sort of heat builder pose. You could do another round of forearm plank. They often said at Kripalu Institute where I trained that your Shavasana is only as good as your last pose just beforehand. It can be wonderful to have something that kind of works you, calls you present. Noticing what you're finding there, if there's just anything kind of amazing. Sometimes to me, something amazing is attention that I did not know was there. That only by peeling off all these other layers did I become aware of what, whoa, that's in my spine or hip. sometimes amazing is, oh my God, I didn't know I could feel this fluid. I had somebody yesterday who said they almost didn't come to yoga because their back was so bound up. And I'm like, oh, I feel like a different human being. Yeah. Amazing is if you even had a few moments in today's practice where you were thoroughly enthralled with breath. And maybe it was while we were doing the box breath pranayam practice. Maybe it was in jet airplane or one of the poses we did, and that deeper breath practice beforehand helped anchor you there. I hope you got a few of those moments. That is truly the gift of yoga. Now please find a resting shape that calls to your body. It might be Shavasana corpse pose on your back. It might be legs up the wall or up on an ottoman. Maybe you're on your side, you could be in child's pose. It can feel sometimes quite nice to have something under the knees. Asking you to scan your body. Is there any tension that you can release by any little physical adjustment of the body? And once you've cleared any of that, give yourself to gravity, to this moment, to nothing to do or know or accomplish. Letting all the gifts in the yoga practice circulate in your system. Slowly expand your breath. And your awareness of your body. Let yourself merge gently into awareness of the day. You might find yourself just mentally reviewing the things that you're going to give your attention to, the people that you're going to give your attention to, and what would it look like to do that with a sense of joy and grace and flexibility. We were talking about that before class. That sometimes we've just booked too much in, or we already had a full day and then something unexpected comes up. And how do you deal with that in a way that allows you to just to be great in the moment? And I said, sometimes my thing is to cancel, to be like, okay, what can I erase so that everything else doesn't feel too much? So we had a fun kind of conversation about that. I think that's really valuable, knowing that it's okay to do that, and it's actually wise. It's not just okay, it's wise to respond to the reality of what's before you. I think only it's a rigidity, and only people who are really rigid try to just march on with like la 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 la, I had a plan. And so I hope that your coming day and this week goes really just beautifully and you feel like you're in the flow with the river. But if not, just pause and notice how you're fighting the flow and see if you can make some adjustments. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. It's really great to be with you. Om Shanti Shanti. Om peace, peace. Namaste. Have fun being you. Have fun literally smelling flowers. Indeed.
Thanks, Andrea.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad you were here.
Me too. It was good
Bye.
to see you last weekend too.
Uh-huh.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.